This is your journey, a profound internal transformation that may have felt invisible even to you. For years, you carried mental blocks that were unseen by the outside world, but were deeply rooted in your subconscious, shaping every financial outcome in your life. You have tried discipline. You have tried budgeting. You have tried to move forward, yet something always held you back. You attempted to prosper, but an internal gravitational force kept pulling you down, leading to the painful, frustrating sensation that you were destined to repeat the same exhausting cycles. Maybe it's the unexpected expense that always drains your savings just when you hit a goal. Maybe it's the quiet guilt that surfaces whenever you consider charging what you're truly worth. Or perhaps it's the sheer exhaustion of feeling like you are perpetually running uphill against an invisible headwind. This persistent block isn't merely circumstantial. It is deeply emotional. It was born from old experiences, perhaps the stress you witnessed your parents enduring, the shame surrounding debt, unspoken fears about having too much, or the accumulated disappointment of failed ventures. These internal barriers built themselves silently, brick by brick, within your psyche. The tension becomes unbearable when you realize that no matter how committed, intelligent, or disciplined you are on paper, your outer financial reality never seems to match the effort and integrity you pour into life. It feels fundamentally unfair. It feels exhausting. At times, it feels almost impossible to change. You find yourself trapped in a vicious loop where external attempts at success are constantly undercut by internal mechanisms designed for failure. But every true journey toward mastery has a critical breaking point, the precise moment when a fundamental truth reveals itself. And the truth we must confront is this: no lasting financial transformation happens externally before it fully crystallizes internally. Change begins in a place no one else can see, your subconscious mind. That is precisely where your limits were originally created. And, thrillingly, that is exactly where they can be dismantled and dissolved. We aren't here to discuss temporary fixes, clever loopholes, or market speculation. We are here to address the core operating system of your life. This internal sabotage manifests in subtle ways. It dictates the opportunities you ignore, the conversations you avoid, the risks you fail to take, an emotional spiral that occurs when unexpected money enters your life, often leading to immediate self-sabotage to return to a false sense of financial safety or familiarity. Have you ever felt unworthy of the success you claim? Have you noticed a persistent, nagging fear that if you actually achieve true financial freedom, something terrible will follow? That is the sound of your internal programming running the show. In this journey, we're going to learn how to identify these internal governors, the blocks that sabotage your decisions, drain your focus, disrupt your creative energy, and even blind you to the opportunities that are currently surrounding you. You will discover how to fundamentally reprogram your mind using emotional, visual, and energetic techniques that transform your relationship with money from one of fear and aversion into one of partnership and attraction. We are going to turn that pervasive fear into crystal clarity, that paralyzing doubt into focused direction, and that financial chaos into perfect alignment. The turning point toward financial self-mastery happens when you embrace the fact that wealth is not something you achieve in the physical world first. It is manifested internally, in your mindset, in your emotional state, and in your energetic frequency. When your mind fundamentally changes, your energetic field changes. When your field changes, your practical life changes. The promise waiting for you is profound. Throughout this deep dive, you'll not only break deep mental blocks that have held you captive, but also awaken a new, sustainable flow of prosperity, a flow that simply could not enter your reality before because, unknowingly, you were blocking its path. Now, equipped with awareness and method, you open yourself fully to receive more, live more fully, and manifest more powerfully than ever before. This is the map of your ultimate financial transformation. It is not abstract theory. It is a path itself. Follow it to the end, and you will realize that wealth has always been trying to reach you. Now, finally, you will be truly ready to receive it. Let us begin where the real work always starts, in the shadows of internal conflict. I want you to acknowledge, without judgment, the silent, deep tension you carry around money. For many of us, money isn't just a tool. It is a profound source of emotional stress, fear, and even shame. Think about the physical reaction when an unexpected bill arrives, or the quick, tight knot in your stomach when you have to check your bank balance. That physical response is your subconscious screaming, signaling that you are in danger, even if the actual financial situation is manageable. You might feel shame about past mistakes, the credit card debt you accrued, the misinvestment opportunity, or the career promotion you turned down because deep down, the thought of greater responsibility felt terrifying. Or perhaps you experience what I call the scarcity whisperer, the persistent, nagging voice that assures you there is never quite enough, even when your accounts are robust. This whisper convinces you to hoard resources, to live in constant fear of future collapse, and to close yourself off from enjoyment in the present, always deferring happiness until an arbitrary, unreachable financial benchmark is met. This emotional entanglement is often why we avoid talking about money, budget poorly, or unconsciously sabotage raises or profitable ventures. We are protecting ourselves from the pain that money has historically represented. The deepest conflict, however, centers on worthiness. Many high-achieving, capable people believe intellectually that they deserve financial success, yet emotionally, they operate from a core belief of unworthiness. This core belief, often established before age 10 when our brain waves were highly susceptible to suggestion, acts as an internal ceiling. It permits income only up to the level your subconscious deems safe or deserved. When you exceed that limit, your internal system generates anxiety and panic, which often manifests as immediate self-sabotage, a reckless purchase, an unnecessary debt, or simply freezing when a massive, positive opportunity presents itself. We must recognize that the relationship with money mirrors a relationship with self. If you do not feel worthy of grace, ease, or success, money will always feel like a battlefield. Our first act of transformation is simply radical validation, acknowledging that your struggle is real, deeply rooted, and perfectly understandable. You are not disorganized or inherently bad with money. You are operating under an intense, protective, emotional barrier that was installed long ago. Now that we have validated the feelings, we must become forensic scientists of our own minds. We are going back to the source, because your current financial reality is not random. It is a physical manifestation of a belief system you inherited, absorbed, and unconsciously validated over decades. Think back to your childhood. What were the unspoken rules about money in your household? Were money discussions secretive, laced with anxiety, or outright explosive? Did you hear phrases repeated constantly, perhaps whispered in moments of profound stress, like, "We can't afford that," or "Money is the root of all evil," or the fatalistic declaration, "You have to work yourself sick, just survive"? These phrases, often spoken by loving, well-meaning parents who were themselves struggling under the weight of their own inherited trauma, form the bedrock of your subconscious financial blueprint. We absorb the energy of money management, the fear, the stress, the joy, or the shame, long before we learn the actual mechanics of budgeting or investing. If your parents associated money with stress, secrecy, or constant argument, your adult mind naturally replicates that same emotional environment when prosperity appears, because that is the established psychological context where money belongs in your internal world. This is your family financial script. It dictates your innate comfort level with saving, spending, earning, and debt, often forcing you into patterns that feel familiar, even if they're destructive. The crucial step here is observation without identification. You are not those old beliefs, but you have been living according to their restrictive rules. We must pull these deeply embedded rules out of the subconscious shadows and bring them into the light of conscious awareness. Ask yourself, what did I learn about receiving easily? About asking for what I need without apologizing? About the possibility of effortless flow and genuine abundance? Most limiting financial beliefs are not rational decisions you made as an adult. They are loyalty programs. You unconsciously remain financially constrained because, in some deeply programmed way, staying small feels safe, or staying close to the struggle keeps you loyal to the hardship your family endured. Awareness is a first step toward true liberation. You cannot dissolve a belief system you refuse to examine, and you cannot rewrite a script you refuse to read. With those inherited scripts now illuminated, it is time for active debunking. We need to shatter the financial myths that keep us financially imprisoned. These myths are the psychological lies we tell ourselves that justify struggle, scarcity, or excessive effort. One pervasive myth is the suffering equals success principle, the notion that wealth must be earned through painful, grinding sacrifice, and if it comes easily or through enjoyment, it must be temporary, immoral, or less valuable. This myth causes us to overcomplicate our finances, refuse necessary help, and feel profound guilt when we find a stream of easy, enjoyable, or high-leverage income. The empowering truth is that wealth is simply energy, and the most powerful, sustainable energy comes from alignment, joy, and flow, not from resistance and exhaustion. Replace the myth. My prosperity flows from alignment, joy, and focus, leveraged effort, not from painful struggle and burnout. Another profoundly dangerous myth is a zero-sum game belief. The idea that if I succeed, someone else must lose, fueling internal guilt or pervasive fear of judgment from peers and family. This myth chokes your capacity to receive fully and generously. The reality is that prosperity is expansive. Your success creates opportunities, jobs, positive investments, and a greater capacity for philanthropic impact for others. Your wealth can be a force multiplier for good, lifting the tide for many. We must intentionally replace scarcity-based thinking with expansion-based declarations. This isn't just fluffy affirmation. It is rapid, targeted neurological retraining. When the old belief surfaces, e.g., I don't deserve this wealth, or I am incapable, you must immediately override the neural pathway with an intentional counterstatement, spoken with emotional authority. Declare, I am worthy of profound financial ease. My value is inherent and unlimited, and my success serves others. Repeat this, not until you believe it logically, but until the emotional charge of the old lie diminishes. We are dismantling the structural integrity of the old prison walls, using the light of conscious, emotionally resonant truth. Every time you consciously choose an empowering belief over a limiting myth, you're laying down new, robust neural pathways that lead directly and inevitably toward financial freedom. Mindset shifts are powerful, but they must be anchored in deliberate, repeatable internal actions that bridge the gap between thought and reality. It is not enough to simply know you deserve abundance. You must actively practice the emotional state of abundance daily until it becomes your default setting. The single most powerful tool for internal reprogramming is gratitude, especially focused financial gratitude. This is not about being thankful only when things are easy. It is about finding genuine appreciation for the resources you currently possess, however modest. When you focus solely on what you lack, your mind contracts immediately into scarcity and fear. When you genuinely appreciate the water bill you can pay, the warm coffee you enjoy, the functional vehicle you drive, or the steady income stream, you signal to your subconscious that you're already living in a state of sufficiency and capability. This shifts your vibrational frequency instantly from one of desperate need to one of satisfied abundance. Practice this religiously by starting a financial gratitude journal. Every night, list 5 distinct financial items you are genuinely thankful for, feeling the appreciation deep in your chest. Secondly, we introduce visualization, but with profound emotional depth. Do not just visualize a high bank account number or a new object. Visualize the feeling of living that life. How does true financial self-mastery feel in your body? Is it deep relaxation, quiet confidence, unbridled generosity? Spend 10 minutes daily immersing yourself completely in that chosen emotional state. Feel the weightlessness of making decisions from choice, not obligation. Connect prosperity not just to consumption, but to contribution, stability, and emotional peace. Finally, pair this emotional work with radical, non-judgmental financial clarity. The fear that makes you avoid looking at your numbers is the last refuge of the scarcity mindset. Commitment to knowing your exact current situation, your income, your debt, your spending velocity, is an act of profound self-respect and empowerment. When you operate in the dark, Fear thrives and paralyzes. When you bring the unwavering light of conscious awareness to the numbers, you seize back control and strategic direction. The truly abundant mind shifts through clarity and consistent, abundant practice. We now move from reprogramming individual thoughts to transforming your fundamental identity. You are no longer the person who chronically struggles with money. You are defining and embodying yourself as a financial self-master. This identity shift is absolutely critical because our actions, habits, and financial results flow directly from who we believe we fundamentally are. The previous identity, the worrier, the scarcity-minded person, the self-saboteur, must be consciously acknowledged, thanked for the lessons it provided, and definitively retired. You must step fully and unreservedly into the role of someone who attracts, manages, and multiplies wealth with grace, strategic intelligence, and responsibility. This new identity is defined by emotional maturity. Financial self-mastery is not simply about the size of your portfolio. It is about the quality of your decisions and your stable emotional response to market fluctuations or unexpected challenges. When a minor obstacle arises, the old identity collapses into panic, anxiety, and reaction. The new identity responds with strategic clarity, trust in process, and unwavering resilience. Furthermore, we must anchor this new, powerful identity in purpose. Wealth acquired solely for ego-driven accumulation often feels hollow and can trigger deep self-sabotage mechanisms. The pervasive too much syndrome, where one feels compelled to divest themselves of excess. But wealth utilized as a tool for expanded impact, profound freedom, and significant contribution is endlessly sustainable and intrinsically motivating. Ask yourself the deeper question: what tangible good does my success facilitate in the world? How does my financial freedom allow me to serve my mission, create generational stability, or empower others to rise? When prosperity is connected to a higher, ethical purpose, you create a powerful, magnetic draw, eliminating the underlying guilt and shame that once hindered your receiving capacity. Embrace the identity of the responsible steward. Money flows effortlessly and reliably to those who are capable, trustworthy, and purposeful in its use. You are choosing to become that person, the one who not only earns robustly, but who uses their resources to elevate their life and the lives of those around them. Your future is not determined by past mistakes. It is determined by the empowered identity you step into right now, today. The journey culminates not in the finish line, but in a continuous, intentional commitment to conscious financial alignment and emotional maintenance. You have identified the shadows of inherited trauma, examined the restrictive scripts, broken the suffocating myths, and claimed a new, empowered identity. Now, we seal this transformation with a final act of commitment and deep neurological anchoring. Take a deep breath and center yourself completely. Understand that maintaining and expanding abundance requires continuous emotional vigilance. The old scarcity whispers, the familiar voices of self-doubt, will attempt to creep back in during moments of external stress or fear. Your commitment is to immediately recognize those insidious thoughts, gently neutralize their emotional charge, and consciously return to your chosen, abundant frequency. This consistent practice is the definition of financial self-mastery. Let us now perform a final visualization to lock in this commitment permanently. Close your eyes briefly and imagine standing firmly at the threshold of your ideal financial life. Feel the profound confidence and ease radiating from you. See the clarity in your eyes as you review your financial statements, not with fear or anxiety, but with strategic intelligence and calm foresight. Feel the lightness of making generous decisions for yourself, your loved ones, and your community. This is not a distant, unreachable dream. It is your new, activated operating reality. Repeat this declaration internally, letting the truth of every word resonate deeply within your core. I release all inherited scarcity and the crippling fear of success. I am a powerful, trustworthy magnet for limitless abundance. Money is a tool that flows to me easily, joyfully, and consistently, multiply for the highest good. I am profoundly worthy of exponential wealth, and I commit to managing my resources with wisdom, gratitude, integrity, and profound joy. I am financially free. This is your solemn pledge to yourself, to your abundant future, and to the universe. The foundational financial transformation is now complete internally. Your task now is simply to watch patiently, consistently, and with great, confident expectation as the external world rushes forward to meet your new, elevated emotional and energetic alignment. The flow has begun. Your job now is simply to receive it gracefully and know that you deserve every bit of it. The profound internal shift you have achieved is not the final chapter. Rather, it is a sturdy foundation for an entirely new structure. However, that internal alignment requires rigorous protection, especially in a world saturated with financial volatility and external narratives of doom. Your newfound financial confidence needs a robust financial immune system. Just as your physical body fights off infection, your mindset must repel the inevitable external shocks, market fluctuations, sudden global news, or perhaps a temporary business setback. The test of your reprogramming lies not in how you manage predictable success, but how quickly you recover and return to a state of strategic calm when chaos erupts around you. You are now responsible for curating your informational environment, selectively shielding your mind from narratives that promote fear, lack, and pervasive insecurity. This involves rigorously auditing the podcasts you listen to, the news channels you consume, and even the conversations you tolerate. You must treat your mental space as sacred real estate. Anything that attempts to seed scarcity within your freshly tilled garden must be immediately excised and rejected. Resilience, in this context, is the rapid, almost instantaneous return to conviction that resources are limitless and your capacity to generate wealth is independent of any single external event. Building on this principle, a deeper, more active commitment is necessary, the establishment of the abundance feedback loop. This moves beyond passively receiving into actively creating and intelligently reinvesting. Your transformation has freed up enormous mental and emotional energy that was previously consumed by worry, anxiety, and managing self-sabotage. This liberated energy is your most valuable capital. Financial mastery, in its truest sense, involves choosing where to deploy this mental capital daily. Instead of spending your precious focus on worrying about things you cannot immediately influence, you strategically invest it in learning high-leverage skills, identifying expansion opportunities, and refining your value proposition to the marketplace. Think of every intentional choice to focus on solutions rather than problems as an investment that yields energetic returns. Conversely, every worry is a withdrawal from your bank of focus, generating what I term mental scarcity debt. Your commitment now is to become a sovereign investor of your attention, ensuring that your energy creates exponential growth, mirroring the financial multiplication you expect to see in your accounts. Furthermore, one cannot truly test the dissolution of scarcity until generosity becomes an effortless, joyful instinct rather than a calculated, fearful transaction. The willingness to circulate money, through intentional giving, ethical investment, or simply spending with genuine joy, is the ultimate litmus test for whether the old chains of lack have truly been broken. When you operate from scarcity, spending feels like a painful loss. Every dollar leaves a shiver of fear that it won't be replaced. When you operate from true abundance, every dollar spent or given is an act of faith, a boomerang that you trust implicitly will return multiplied because the source of your prosperity is internal, not dependent on the money currently in your pocket. Cultivate the habit of conscious, joyous circulation. Use spending, whether on high-quality tools, enriching experiences, or philanthropic causes, as a reinforcing affirmation that you're already prosperous, capable, and worthy of flow. This deliberate, expansive action seals the transformation, proving to your deepest consciousness that you're not afraid of having money, nor are you afraid of releasing it to create momentum and good in the world. Consequently, remember that mastery is not a destination, but an iterative curve of continuous refinement. Your financial self-mastery is a muscle that must be continually stretched. The beliefs that served you at one income level may become restrictions at the next. Therefore, a commitment to periodic mindset audits is essential. Every 6 to 12 months, Pull out your financial script and identify the next layer of limiting belief that is attempting to anchor you to your previous comfort zone. Perhaps it is a belief that higher taxes are a punishment for success, or the fear of expanding your team and delegating control. These new blocks are often subtle, cloaked in seemingly rational logic. Your commitment is to approach these new plateaus with the same unflinching honesty and intentional reprogramming that you employed at the start of this journey. This iterative process ensures that you never outgrow your own container for receiving, guaranteeing that your financial evolution remains perpetual and aligned with your expanding personal capacity. Finally, to powerfully anchor this commitment to an evolving life of abundance, let us solidify the ultimate promise you make to yourself. This promise is about the quality of your life, not just the quantity of your wealth. Imagine vividly, feel it in your bones, the profound, quiet certainty that you possess the internal technology to generate, manage, and sustain prosperity under any circumstance. Reaffirm, I choose to be a channel of profound, impactful, and consistent wealth, flowing from my highest purpose. I commit to honoring the currency of my time, my energy, and my money with sovereign respect. I accept a continuous evolution of my financial reality, responding to change with calm strategy and unwavering trust. This commitment is the key to longevity. This is a promise of perpetual evolution, guaranteeing that the success you build today will become the foundation for unimaginable abundance tomorrow. Step forward, ready to live this truth. Reflecting on this journey so far, we recognize a profound shift that has occurred. We have moved beyond merely treating surface symptoms and ventured into the dense, often unsettling terrain of the inner landscape. It is akin to stepping out of a perpetual, dimly lit subterranean cavern, where the echoes of past disappointments magnified every whisper of doubt into a roar of impossibility. For so long, we relied on faulty compasses, maps drawn by the fears and limitations of previous generations, which insisted that the most direct route to the sunlit uplands of freedom required navigating only the tightest, most strenuous canyons. Every attempted step toward expansion felt burdened by an invisible gravity, a systemic resistance programmed deep within the subconscious architecture. Now, that internal barometer has been recalibrated. The heavy, emotional haze surrounding every financial decision, the guilt, the avoidance, the sudden spikes of panic, has begun to dissipate, much like the morning fog lifting from a valley floor, revealing the true contours of the land. We discovered that the struggle was never about the external obstacle, the market, the economy, or the unexpected expense, but about the deeply embedded filter through which we perceive those challenges. When the mental framework insisted on shortage, the eye could only register absence, even amidst palpable opportunity. The systemic, internal change, the subtle, persistent effort of replacing the inherited, cracked foundations with a bedrock of self-trust and earned worthiness, has yielded resilience that no amount of external capital could ever purchase. Consider the metaphor of the master builder. They do not worry about the weather. They focus solely on the quality of the materials and the integrity of the design. When the internal architecture shifts from plywood and fear to reinforced steel and quiet confidence, the resulting structure is impervious to minor tremors that once brought the entire system crashing down. Each piece of awareness we uncovered, each myth debunked, each moment of chosen gratitude, was not an isolated action. These elements have interlocked, creating an unshakable scaffolding, a structure where the energy of abundance is not just welcomed, but is entirely contained and leveraged. The effort invested in achieving true emotional clarity means that when large opportunities inevitably arrive, they are met not with the old, paralyzing terror of potential loss, but with a cool, strategic assessment of a capable sovereign. The convergence of these forces is where the magic resides. When the conscious mind aligns with the subconscious conviction, and both are anchored to a purpose that transcends mere accumulation, the universe ceases to be a harsh adversary and becomes a fertile collaborator. The feeling of being perpetually out of sync, the sense that you are pushing a massive boulder uphill, evaporates. In its place emerges a quiet, powerful momentum, an intrinsic flow that aligns your external outcomes with the internal reality you have deliberately engineered. This is a difference between frantically chasing a distant financial outcome and simply maintaining the frequency that naturally attracts that outcome to your present location. We have arrived now at the summit of this initial ascent. The view is unparalleled, showing the vast landscape of possibilities stretching out before you. The path forward is no longer defined by fear or scarcity, but by the exhilaration of expansion and the profound certainty of self-mastery. The hard, foundational work is complete, clearing the runway. What remains is a deliberate, conscious execution of living from this new altitude, embodying the identity you have earned through this intense internal clearing. You have transformed from a passive passenger on the ship of your finances into the absolute, assured captain charting the course. The question now shifts from can I achieve abundance to how I will deploy the inevitable flow of prosperity that this inner stability guarantees. This realization is not the end of the journey, but the spectacular launch of the next, most rewarding phase. You are perfectly positioned. The atmosphere is clear. Now, we prepare for the final, empowering step into this fully realized future. The true transformation we have navigated together is this. You have not merely learned new financial strategies. You have successfully transitioned from being a passive recipient of external circumstance to becoming the conscious architect of your internal economy. This distinction is paramount. For too long, the default narrative of financial success emphasized chasing market opportunities, optimizing external variables, or relying on bursts of discipline, all efforts aimed outward, treating wealth as a prize to be hunted in the wilderness. The deep, lasting shift accomplished here reverses that paradigm entirely. You have internalized a singular, unyielding truth that money, in its essence, is simply a neutral, potent energy that reflects the quality and alignment of your own internal operating system. When you wrestle with scarcity, the resistance was never truly rooted in insufficient external capital. It was the echo of an internal conflict, a lack of self-worth that manifested as financial avoidance and self-sabotage. You were unknowingly running an outdated, restrictive program, one that measured your worth by your past failures and insisted on perpetual struggle as the cost of admission to prosperity. That old system has been meticulously dismantled, brick by intentional brick. The sense of profound, quiet sovereignty you now feel is a result of achieving emotional leverage. The capacity to remain calm, strategic, and abundant in your thought process, irrespective of the noise or volatility of the outside world. This is a cornerstone of true financial self-mastery. The freedom that comes from knowing your prosperity is generated from within, making it utterly recession-proof, crisis-resistant, and entirely dependent only upon your sustained commitment to clarity and emotional integrity. This journey's core implication is that financial freedom is not the destination. It is the inevitable byproduct of personal evolution. The money shows up not because you finally got the budget spreadsheet perfect or found the magic investment trick, but because you finally became the version of yourself who naturally magnetizes and sustains high-level resources. You now carry the internal frequency of capability, trust, and purposeful flow. And when that frequency is maintained, the opportunities, the aligned relationships, the unexpected breakthroughs, and the necessary capital simply align themselves in your path, not as fleeting luck, but as structural necessity. They are responding to the signal you are consistently broadcasting. Therefore, your ongoing task is simple yet profound. It is to live this new identity every single day. The work of self-mastery never truly ends, but evolves from the grueling effort of overcoming resistance to the satisfying, continuous refinement of alignment. Treat every financial interaction, from paying a bill to receiving a compliment on your work, as a micro-opportunity to reinforce the emotional conviction that you are worthy, capable, and abundant. Never let the past self's narrative borrow power from your present moment. Stand firm in the knowledge that you have done the deep, necessary work. You have cleared the energetic channels. You have redefined your relationship with money from one of fear and aversion to one of respect and partnership. The flow is open. The trajectory is set. Go forth now, not with the anxiety of someone chasing an elusive goal, but with the quiet confidence of a master craftsman observing the final, perfect realization of a design meticulously rendered. You are prepared not just for wealth, but for the profound responsibility and expanded capacity that come with it. The universe has been waiting for you to become ready. Now, finally and fully you are. Embrace the flow. Trust your inner architect and allow the abundance that you have worked so hard to create internally to manifest beautifully and perpetually in your external world. This new life of financial sovereignty is not a dream. It is your earned reality. Welcome home.